It is a Facebook Live Friday. Brian Milam, Lee K. Howard with you as the football Wildcats. They get ready to do their business tomorrow against Auburn. And the basketball Wildcats with one exhibition down, another exhibition coming up, and high school football tonight. So we are in that transition where everything is overlapping and sleep is at a premium.
Right. It's fun, though. I mean, honestly, this is, you're coming off the big exhibition win of the basketball team. Everybody's keeping their fingers crossed and hoping that the football team can come out and perform tomorrow, or else we're talking about potentially the end of a season. I mean, there's still games to play, and I'm not saying the kids should quit on what's left, but when you're talking about bowl opportunities and things like that, they're running very low on that. And then the high school football season is ramping up toward the playoffs at this point.
I mean, we are just November means playoff football. So with Halloween in the rearview mirror in another week, hey, it's all on. It's the road to Kroger Field. That mythical road to Kroger Field begins. But let's talk basketball for a minute, because as everybody knows, everything is brand new. With Rupp Arena, inside Rupp Arena with Mark Pope and his staff and the kids and the players. And the other night, and I said this on TV yesterday or day before, the other night was the most fun. And I've looked forward to going to Rupp Arena for the first time probably since COVID. I had more fun the other night just seeing team basketball effortlessly, fluid, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you got to see it firsthand there at Rupp Arena, but even, I was here at the station watching it on television like many people, and you could see how much joy that the crowd had and just how much fun it was watching them play. And there's been, ever since April when Pope was hired, there's been kind of this anticipatory, like, nervousness but joy, but like, this is different, this is going to be fun, but you still didn't know how all that was going to translate to the court, and like, would it look good? And I think the other night, I get it, it's an exhibition game against Kentucky Wesleyan, who's, by the way, not a terrible team.
No, they've got a heck of a tradition.
Let's give them some credit, but Kentucky came out and played in a way that I think a lot of people wanted them to play.
Sure.
And so here's my thing, Brian. I want to know, they're not winning it. They're not going 40-0. They're not going to win every game. There's going to be some ups and downs. So how does the fan base react? How do the players react? How does Pope react when maybe they go through a tough, loss or a tough stretch? That's what I want to say. I'm not, looking forward to that, but I do wonder what that'll be like.
Well, this is a mature team, first off, and we all know they have logged more college minutes than any UK team ever, but they've never played together in a regulation game, and the other day was the first time they had really obviously taken on anybody else. But the maturity factor, and I know it's easy when you win by 71 points to be, hey, yeah, we knew this was going to happen. But it was a joy to talk to the kids after the game, or the young adults, the young men, whatever you want to call them, because they understand they were put together so quickly in a 6-week span, 5-week span. And I am amazed at how quickly Pope and the staff put it together. When you bring in defensive players of the year, it was San Diego State or this school you haven't heard from in a long time, a Fairleigh Dickinson, whatever. But man, they just, there was no I got to get mine.
And you talk about that maturity, and I think that maturity is one of the underrated things that will keep these guys in games in a lot of situations where, let's say, a more talented team, because they'll face those, as far as, just sheer talent, maybe gets a lead. This maturity that this team has, the games played, I don't think many things are going to take them by surprise. They're not going to be shell shocked. And you've also, yes, you've got guys who played at Fairleigh Dickinson and such, but you've also got, like, Andrew Carr played at Wake Forest. He's played against Duke quite a few times. Like, he's going to go into that Duke game not intimidated by that jersey. He's played that team. So I think the maturity, the experience, and man, it was just so much fun to see them in action the other night, just knocking down threes. 42 attempts. Who cares if you even hit 21 of them? That was even more impressive. But just think about this. Calipari wanted, when he had his best three-point shooting teams, which last year was one of them.
Sure.
I remember him saying if we could get to like 23 to 25 attempts, that would be really good for us. They took 42 shots
and, you know,
from three-point range.
I don't know if we have that video clip in there ready to go or not. It came in maybe kind of late, but but the thing that I loved about the passing, it was unselfish, and you're going to get plays like that. But the 42 three-point attempts you mentioned, you know, none of them, let me take that back. I can think of 2 of them that felt forced.
Yeah.
Garrison had one at the top. He was just, it looked a little stiff. And then Colin Chandler hit the top of the backboard from the corner on 1-3. Everything else just, it was almost like a ballet. It was so smooth, and man, they just shot the ball so well.
Pope said, I used this soundbite last night, he called them earned three-pointers. And he said just about every three-pointer we took was an earned three, and he kind of explained that. He said there are several ways we earn threes. It's, you know, getting to the corners. It's through their spacing. It's through the extra pass. It's through screening. All sorts of like motions and things that they do to get open like that, to get open threes. He said we took 42 attempts, but kind of like what you just said, we weren't just jacking up threes. They weren't just like, let's see how many we can shoot and pass up on better shots. They were getting good open looks. See, it's like they call that the hockey assist. You know, the second guy that passed the ball, you know. So that was fun.
And then they had this little wave to the crowd, meet and greet with the people on the, and I just thought that was classy. You know, we have seen over the last many years, Matthew Mitchell did it with the ladies. They would sing the school song, be out there on the court, you know, clap it up. And I thought for the men to just go around and shake hands and say, hey, thanks for being here, whatnot. Video's over.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can tell that these guys are very appreciative to be at Kentucky. And that's not to say that the guys over the last decade plus weren't. Those guys were happy to be at Kentucky, and it doesn't matter if it was to play for Kentucky or to get themselves to the next level because they knew Kentucky was a place to do that. But there is like this refreshing sense that they want to be Kentucky Wildcats. And look, a lot of these guys, let's be honest, a lot of these guys never thought that they had a chance to play at Kentucky. I remember an interview you did at Media Day this year with Ansley Almanor. Now, we're not obviously Trent Noah and Travis Perry grew up wanting to play for Kentucky. They grew up in this state. Ansley Almanor grew up 22 miles north of Manhattan. In New York. And he said that he had a poster on his wall. Was it a UK poster on his wall as a kid? Because he wanted to play for the Wildcats. That's a kid in New York.
None of these guys, Trent Noah included, and if Travis Perry is not from Kentucky, he's not at Kentucky. If he is the Mr. Basketball at Tennessee, Arkansas, Illinois, he is more than likely not at UK. None of these guys were recruited to come to UK.
Probably never thought they had a chance
until Mark Pope got here. And I think that, say, hey, look what the other recruits, the majority of the other recruits over the last 14 years, they expected to be recruited by Kentucky, to at least get more than just, hey, we'd love to have you over for a visit, we'd love to do this. These guys understand, hey, this is Christmas morning right here, you know, and they showed that the other day. Kentucky plays Minnesota State Mankato next week at Rupp Arena for exhibition number 2 before the regular season gets going for real on November 4th. And you know, I only went to 4 games last year at Rupp, 1 women's game, 3 men's games, and they were 0-4. And I thought, well, maybe I don't need to show up anymore. And but I promise you, with the way these guys are, I will be showing up a lot more.
It's going to be fun. Did you see how quick that game went, too?
It did.
It started at 7 o'clock, and I think it was over at like 8:40.
Well, you know,
8:35.
Wesleyan didn't have, I think they had 2 first-half fouls. Their first foul didn't come until 13 minutes into the game. And the first TV timeout, you know, you take the first dead ball after the 16, the 12, the 8, and the 4. Well, the first TV timeout didn't come to I want to say 14 and change. It took a while.
Yeah.
And so, but it was just so much fun to be out there. And we'll see what happens when Kentucky takes on Minnesota State Mankato next week. Football now. Let's get back to the Cats football. I think and I know the coaches, the players know what they got to do to win. Can they do it? That's the thing. The season's on the line right now.
Yeah.
If Kentucky was to stub their toe the way they did against Vandy, the way they didn't show up against Carolina, the way they folded in the last 6 minutes against Florida, it's basketball season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And because the Cats have got to win this to be in a position to beat Murray, in a position to beat Louisville, to be bowl eligible. I'm not saying Kentucky cannot go to Texas or Tennessee, but the odds are drastically, almost improbable.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody this morning about in the SEC, there's a large group of teams that Kentucky's amongst. Where, you've got your Georgias and Texas and Alabama and maybe give or take an LSU up there or something like that. But year to year, not just this year, but year to year, there's Kentucky, South Carolina, Florida's in that group now. Vandy's always kind of been the lower part of that group. Missouri's in that group. But what I'm getting at, there's a group, Mississippi State's in that group, that if you beat those teams, you have a really good year.
Yeah. You
have a great year. If you lose some and win some, you have a decent year. If you lose all of those, you have a terrible year.
You're in trouble.
So, and everybody's kind of right there. You've got the same level of talent. You've got the same, a lot of things. Used to, that was always the knock before Stoops got there. Kentucky had less talent.
Oh.
They couldn't recruit the talent to even keep up with a Florida or a South Carolina. There's been many years where Kentucky's got better talent than those teams. But year to year, you've got to beat those teams. And this year, and especially when it's a home game, right? But this year, Kentucky losing to South Carolina and Vandy at home, Florida on the road. You've got Auburn is in that group now, also. Right. That's enough. You have to win. I mean, you have. It is. I mean, it's hate to say this is the season, but I mean this is one of those games that you have to win, and you've lost all the other ones, so you've got to win that one.
And I feel it's been a tough week for Mark Stoops. Lost his mother. And that's got to weigh heavy on his mind. Not during the game, maybe, but when parents show up, and you've been doing this since you became a father, your kids look for you, and you look as a player. You kind of always want to make sure mom and dad were there. Well, Coach Stoops' father passed years and years and years ago.
30 years ago.
With a heart attack, and now mom, and she would be at some games every now and then, over the years, but that's going to be tough. So, it's never easy to lose a loved one, but Coach Stoops is going through that. So maybe, and I'm a history-aholic, I kind of have an issue with it. 1979, the Pittsburgh Pirates are in the World Series, which starts tonight, by the way.
That's right.
And Chuck Tanner, the manager of the Pirates, lost his mother. Well, the Pirates rally and win the next three, win the World Series. Maybe
that's what we got.
Mrs. Stoops can give a hand, lending hand there.
I asked Stoops about that last night over there at the at the end of practice about it, and the thing about it, it's never easy to lose someone that you love. Obviously, but she was 88 years old. And
had a good run.
Absolutely. And he basically said that. And he said, I'm not trying to minimize, but it was something that it wasn't unexpected, so to speak, which maybe makes it slightly easier. And he did mention that next week, sometime during next week, whether it's a day or 2 days or whatever, he'll, as he put it, we'll go finish all of that, meaning I'm sure a funeral or something like that. So, but the reason I bring that up is because he actually said, he goes, I don't mean this just because, I'm trying to, dodge this question, but she would want me to do what's best for this team.
Absolutely.
She was the wife of a football coach, and she had 4 sons who were all college football coaches at some level, which is crazy. So, I think she understood the you've got a job to do on the field, and Stoop said that's kind of his mentality going into this weekend. She would want me to do what's best for this team.
Can you imagine how many uniforms she washed back in the day with football and baseball? They played other sports.
She's probably a saint.
Oh, she guaranteed it. I'm sure Mark would say, yeah, the boys, we put her through all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
But high school football tonight, the regular season is quickly winding down. Just a couple of weeks left before we start November football and playoff football. So we will actually have a full game time tonight for the first time in a few weeks due to illness, due to basketball being played on Friday, which is a sin during high school football season.
Back to football, right?
Yeah. So, but we're going to have a great show tonight, and we will see you at Kroger Field tomorrow for UK and Auburn, and then we'll go back and do it at Rupp Arena next week for the next exhibition game. We're going to get back upstairs, get back to work. For Lee K. Howard, I'm Brian Milam. Have a good day and have a great weekend.